This is FMS Strength, and here we give you the latest updates on issues. My name is Maureen Marshall, and you can call me the Information Minister. I'm here to serve you all the tina matia semaba. Someone can say last week stampede BC ya. A month for so. Me Ghana year recruitment. Ghana Armed Forces 4-year recruitment. Say omo jingo for feja. Ghana who don't me ko pedjuma. And this one call your man coffee bill because stampede may see you know. Omo femu wuye. Ebi HSA ebi wa critical condition one kasa. Conditions no mu rather. Oba crowd pass say or copedjuma na fi wa maybe. Oba ye be bo amane kwe be catch us any food that hanu say o she fridge. Why? Ghana my motherland. Enti asem na yakoso no Dr. Mahama ache na adwen. Na Dr. Mahama asema wo kan say the acting defense minister Dr. Keselato Forcing has not taken responsibility for the stampede. As we so be resign obi an kan asem bia the way I say atwa kogina parliament say yes suspending recruitment because say asem see ni arehosem nkofo you losing nkofo nya ade na as a responsibility na nkasa de Ghana Armed Forces in Penifoni take responsibility ono acting defense minister Dr. Keselato Forcing ono so take responsibility chese ne deputy why Dr. Mahama ni abro.
People are about to enter, then all of them mass up at the gate and you open it. As if you are opening a floodgate. Definitely there's going to be stampede. Yeah. Definitely people with that confidence in the screening process will want to take an advantage position. That's what they will be. They will be rushing to enter. Definitely people who think that I have gone to this particular center and after, if I don't take time, I may sleep there for the next day, will be forced. And when this happens, it's a survival of the fittest. And no wonder most of the people who are with the greatest of the ladies are by nature are not aggressive. Yeah. So the aggression probably from the males would probably overwhelm them. This overwhelming aggression from the male in that particular scenario would be a problem for the women. And when we're even serious, we just have to have a separate screening exercise for even male and women. Even if we are minded to ensure that, look, based on gender differences and based on different orientation and upbringing, and also probably some of them could be stereotypical, but they exist and persist within the society. So I think that the security protocol was bad, it was terrible, and whosoever is responsible for that should be burying his head in shame. But it also talks to the whole issue of employment for the youth, that for military alone, people who want to go into the military to be enlisted or to be recruited, over 21,000.
That's Accra alone. 21,000 is this Accra.
It tells us that we have a timing bomb, that if we don't do something about it, one day this country, the youth will turn this country upside down. And I think that we need to tackle unemployment with a very systematic policy framework that even if it remains, fortunately we are having a constitutional review, if it must legislating it in a manner that will not let any government derail from it, consciously we must be thinking about that so that we can address a long-term issue about youth unemployment in the country.
And I mean, talking about unemployment, the Ghana Statistical Service in 2024 said persons aged between 15 to 35 years, there are about 1.42 million of them who are jobless. That's in 2024. And then about 2 million youth considered idle in our country at the moment. So 1.42 million considered unemployed, 2 million youth considered idle. That's massive.
Yeah, and even looking at even those, in those particular, not even the center across the country, the centers, how they even treat these young people in the recruitment. It's like they are already in the training, camp. People would dress, of course, you expect protocol, but they are sitting on the floor in the sun. Yeah. You are not, for crying out loud, you are not actually training them. They are not criminals. They are not warriors. They are not prisoners. They are young people coming to look for a job. And the only way you can accommodate them is to let them sit on the floor in the sun. I think that this country can do better, and we have to look at. And for me, I support the calls by some people who say that we have to look at compensation for those, for the victims, families of the victim.
Yeah, government has announced that for each of the 6 families, they would make sure they enlist one person from each family as to honor the memory of those who passed.
Yeah, the gesture is commendable, but it's a shame. It's commendable. With the greatest respect, the gesture is commendable, but it's a shame. For those families, unemployment is better than loss of life. As of now, for those families affected, they would have preferred to have their daughters be unemployed than a job without my daughter. But we have to commend the government for. But you see, Martin Amido also said something, and I think that we have to find time to read his piece. And that also goes down to the whole issue of taking responsibility. He's of the view that the acting minister responsible for defense has not taken responsibility.
The Minister of Finance, who is acting as the defense minister.
Yes, that is a view he shares. And I support that view, because the response he gave in Parliament basically did not suggest that as the minister responsible for defense, he had taken ultimate responsibility for what happened. If he cannot take, the president ought to have taken ultimate responsibility for what happened. Because I said as a country, we are all blamable, right? But someone will have to take the ultimate responsibility. Even people are not voluntarily resigning, he has to make sure that those people go. Because
would that not be after the Board of Inquiry investigation?
Whatever the inquiry has to be, some people can be suspended pending the inquiry. There were people asked to do the job.
The minister has said that all the people involved have been asked to step aside.
I say some people step aside is different from being suspended from their job. You are asking the person to step aside from
pending the investigation.
You are stepping aside from the exercise. It's not that we've not been told that anyone has been asked to go home for negligence of duty, pending the outcome of the result. We are just asking that those people who were doing the recruitment, as the veracity of that particular statement is even something we can establish. Those people who were in charge of the processes of the screening
should step aside.
Once we get different people. Is that the way to take immediate responsibility for what has happened? So I think that basically my condolences to the families of the bereaved. I mean, those people who have lost their lives. And I just wish that this thing would never repeat itself. In the past, we have had recruitment. It wasn't that it was the best. Past recruitment are not always the best, but we think that we should be improving. But as days goes by and years goes by, and we are rather retrogressing, and that we are not putting in any measure to improve on the welfare of our people, then the people we are leading will lose faith in us. Maybe I just hope not sooner. If it's going to happen very soon, I'm sure that this country will be difficult to govern. And I just, not with the greatest respect, the president will have to do more. That is my only daughter.
Okay.
So who are you going to replace with that? So there must be some other form of compensation directly to the people who are being affected. And I think that will not be enough, but it will serve as a solace for them to know that the state, Ghana, actually came to their aid and sympathized with them in their difficult.
Dr. Tia Mahama say they should take responsibility. Now say young Mushe, Okasari na a Boga Central MP, a Honorable Isaac Adongo. It's Honorable Isaac Adongo say, and Yema to Ghana, what's happening in Ghana, and I say, stampede, see, Nipa Sex Akoru, a jar to her, and Yena one baku say. Boga Central MP ne Kasano. Na the reason why they Kasani and say, or say Ghana, we don't learn. Ghanaians don't learn. Say be a semesin ne. Yan shemu, ni be say be a NCBO. We don't learn, we don't assess our mistakes to know that, oh, when here is the area that we were at fault. Until next time you're being here, no. We don't do any assessment, no taking of responsibility, nothing. Into a city at and no one. You don't need a prophet or a prophetess to tell you that Ghana you soon a bino and one amadi etui.
Well, let me greet all of you, my colleagues on the panel. and to my constituents, the good people of Bolga Central. They've been excited that they are seeing me today because it's been a while since I've appeared in these type of programs. But once the budget is out,
we have to hear from Honorable
That is where my bread is buttered, and I do a lot of that with my colleague who is assisting me to get some of the laws that are required to enable the government to implement the budget. And I do believe that he and his team will continue to give us the support that they've always given us. And he's one of those rising young men on the committee, and I commend him for the work he's doing. To be honest, what has happened is a national tragedy. And our heart goes out to the bereaved families, and we pray that those who are injured would get the favor of God to recover quickly. But I want to say that as a country, we are not learning. We are not learning because everywhere in the world, when you undertake these kind of critical exercises, there is always a stage where you sit back and reflect. You sit back and evaluate what has happened. And we've been doing recruitment for all these years. And if the military, as one of the best institutions for planning and executing projects, I will be surprised that they don't have an evaluation mechanism to inform lessons for some of these things. So like my honorable colleague said, over the years, if we have been learning and evaluating, we would have noticed that this has been long in coming. That we've gotten away just by dint of luck. It's not because we have done anything right. Because we are not learning the lessons. Everything shows that the previous numbers were even bigger. I mean, 90,000 across the country. Obviously, Elwa could have been bigger. But because we were lucky to go out unscarred, we thought that that was a perfect system. And therefore, we didn't learn the lessons to inform future events of that nature. And I think that is a weakness that we need to fix, not just in the military, but anywhere we are doing some work to improve the lives of our people. We must have at the back of your mind that at the end of this exercise, we must learn some lessons and be better at it the next time. And I think that is where we have failed as a country. And cumulatively, we have tended to be complacent because we are not seeing this happen. And it's unfortunate that as a country, we only wait to lose a life before we tend to think right. And I think that that is a weakness that we need to address going forward. Even though it will not bring back our compatriots who have passed, I'm sure they will be happy that as a result of their passing, the country learns lessons and doesn't go back to the same experience in future. And we owe it to them to ensure that that happens. The other thing I would like to say is that, of course, nothing can bring back those compatriots. Nothing can soothe the family. So whatever gesture the government is giving is a gesture that is given not because it will bring back the bereaved families and restore them, but it is a gesture to say that there may be somebody who could step in and provide livelihood through this exercise to support the family. And if that is possible, let's do it. But I believe that the committee that has put together to investigate this may make recommendations that border on the adequacy of whatever packages that we are giving to them. So let's wait and see what they will recommend to His Excellency the President through the Minister. I am one person who believes that as a country, whenever there is tragedy, we come together. But anytime things are working for us, we tend to forget that unity is the way to build this country. And you can see even in Parliament that we're united in grief. And the feeling was that we have failed our people. Unfortunately, we tend to politicize everything. And that makes people that we pay to, that has to change. Sometimes I sit and watch, say, Public Accounts Committee. And I see evidence of our country being milked, and we reduce it to politics. And the people who have milked the country basically get away by identifying with the political system. And that is the bane of this country. And we need to begin to rethink. We need to rethink processes, and we need to rethink standard operating procedure for everything that we do, so that even before you start an exercise, everybody knows that this exercise goes through a set of possibilities, and the ETA mentality is why we are not improving. Why should the military and security services, and I'm being honest here, if you ask most of those people who were there when they were in school, the last thing they would have thought about is that they will queue to become members of the military or security services. It's because the system has failed to deliver the ambition that they had, and they need to keep body and soul together. They have had to settle for what originally was not their intention. But if we have to satisfy that of even for them, we must do that within an environment that is responsive to the circumstances. And Honorable Kabiru said something very striking. These are civilians. The fact that they want to enter the army doesn't make them military people. These are civilians, and they must be treated as civilians. So, if soldiers are comfortable sitting in the sun, civilians cannot be made to sit in the sun. Okay, wait until they come there for your training, then you can do whatever you want to with them. But in the meantime, they are civilians and must be treated as such. But if you see what was going on, if you're a parent and your child is out of school, the numbers is derived from the budget. The numbers is derived from the budget. We approved the budget in December for implementation in the ensuing year. Why do we have to wait till November?
Then we do one big recruitment exercise.
Exactly. Why can't we have an ongoing exercise? If a person is shortlisted in the system, why don't we have a system that says that today we are looking at a certain number of people, and what we are going to do, if you enter this center, we have an agency that is going to give us all the information we need about you for the military. Even though it is supervised by the military has certified that that institution or individual or organization is capable of providing the level of evidence that the military needs to proceed with the process. Otherwise, if you look at the people who were sitting, how many military people?
What do you think? Ediana mwankasa modwen fa ho. Ensem bebere e wo man mu. Na last part me be ma mahwe. From a legal practitioner. Vicky. Yes. Vicky Bright. Vicky Bright has a man walk on and said, Ghana. Agro ha. Agro Ghana hanu say. And also taking class action against the military, no. Ebeha Ghana for papa. It will disturb us as a country. Intended the ent mean but responsibility there. Someone has to take responsibility. Young timer. Nkofo bi grant interview ekoki kan sem bi say yeka so mo nko mechi no ma nko na den yetiete bi so, but all the same we've lost lives, parents lose hope ebi anasa ne ba no kokoye adwuma no ne only hope obetimi abo abusua ne ade yente Vicky Bright.
I think class action against the military will be a bit problematic.
Okay.
Not because it cannot be done. Because it can be done. I mean, there's public liability.
Sure.
You know, and actually you're required to have public liability insurance. But they are principled. And we do need people to become more principled in our society and to take responsibility. And if they are not taking responsibility, then they should be fired. You know, you either go voluntarily
or you're fired.
And we have to be very decisive about that. You know, because people get away with far too much. And that's why we don't have a culture of accountability in this country. And this permeates across all systems that we have, all our systems. And it has to change because this society cannot grow, to regress as a nation. But there's a whole load of people out there who just think business as usual, and they would do everything to fight the system. They would do everything to fight those who are trying to bring change, positive change into the system. To be fired, or they should do the right thing and look at these poor kids who have died and resign, because I'm sure some of them have children, if not all of them. You know, so for me, that's what I think. And also the compensation thing is important.
You think they should be monetary compensation? Yes,
I think it's not going to bring them back or anything. And I think the gesture that the president made, that, you know, they should nominate one family member to be in the armed forces, I think that's a good thing. But I think that we should also seriously look at some monetary compensation. Listen to the one who was a CBG, who we just talked about, for example. The mother is ill. There's no father figure around. And she was the one helping the mother, and she's gone. So I think we need to look into...
Because of stampede, Ghana youth say omoko page my. Arise Ghana youth for your country. Almost sorry. I feel they are raising for their country. So maybe a coin dinner and ye a mass 6 and ye lose you. Into one mosha. Why not take responsibility? No videos here mabonina. We say Ghana nye serious. We say acting defense minister. We say responsibility na the end. Who should take responsibility for the stampede? Why not take responsibility? This is FMS Strengths. I hope you enjoyed the updates. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My name is Maureen Michelle, and all the videos that we played, we don't own rights to them. No copyright infringement intended. Thank you.